must not go back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
That help will always be given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it. It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
Hey everyone, welcome to Hogwarts, a podcast. Welcome everyone, I'm your host Dan. As you've probably noticed, we have a brand new intro. We've been hinting towards it for a few episodes now, and we really hope you enjoyed it. A special thank you to Drew for all of his help with the sound editing. Please check out Drew on all of his other podcasts and projects. He is on an F1 racing-centric podcast, which you can follow on Twitter at OutlapF1 Podcast. They do a great job covering the world of F1 racing and all the different races and all the different dynamics going on with that sport. He also can be heard with me on a Chicago sports podcast called The 4D Experience, which you can follow on Twitter at 4D Experience 1. So again, find Drew on Twitter at OutlapF1 Podcast, where he talks about F1 racing, and on Twitter at 4D Experience 1 to check out me and him talking some Chicago sports. I also want to send a special shout out to our listeners in Belgium, Australia, Germany, and the UK. It's very cool that you guys are listening, and we are very thankful. We would like to hear from you, though. Please engage with us on our Twitter and our Instagram. You can find us at Hogwarts a Pod on either platform, same handle, either platform. So again, thank you guys for listening. It's very cool that we're heard kind of across the world. That's awesome. Just please engage and interact with us. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, by the way, we have a chapter to discuss today, which is awesome. We're starting Book 2, Chamber of Secrets, Chapter 1, The Worst Birthday, and Anna is kicking us off again.
Hello! I'm so excited to be back for the first chapter of a new book.
Yeah, I think it's, as I was cracking open the book to start the read for the chapter, it was funny because I've read these books over and over and over again. This is the first time that I got that excitement back.
Aww,
you know what I mean?
That's so exciting.
Like,
oh my gosh.
I saw the book and the book cover, and it's almost like I was reading it again for the first time.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it was a
love
cool
that.
feeling that I got, and it was just like, oh my goodness, new book art cover. I was excited about the table of contents, Anna. The table of contents was exciting for me, okay? I like to look ahead at the chapter, whatever. Anyway.
No, I go through the table of contents actually quite a bit. I don't know why.
Every time I start a new chapter, I just flip over and I'm like, okay, here are the chapters where I'm at. It's great. I'm a nerd. But no, I got that new excitement of, this is a new Harry Potter book, and there's a bunch of new events coming for Harry in this whole year. So it's, even though Chamber of Secrets isn't my favorite book per se, I still got that excitement of like, I get to read a Harry Potter book again. This is great. So it was a cool, exciting feeling for me, I guess.
Yeah. I can kind of relate. I was cracking it open for my read, and I was kind of like, I wonder what's going to stick out to me this time. Like, after I reread A Sorcerer's Stone and new things popping out, I was kind of anticipating, like, all right, what's it going to be with Chamber of Secrets? So, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I liked it. Obviously, we do, if you're just joining us for the first time, we do a non-spoiler section and we do a spoiler section. So we'll do the non-spoilers first for anybody who's reading through the book for the first time, which is really cool, and I'm kind of jealous.
I'm super jealous. Oh my god.
We've been talking in the last couple of episodes about trying to remember our first read-throughs and what that was like and some of our thoughts or emotions or whatever. And for these books, that was a long time ago.
Ooh, let's not think about it.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, it was tough because I think they were assigned English class books.
You actually got assigned to read
yeah.
the Harry Potter books?
Yeah.
Oh, your teachers were so much cooler than mine.
The first two, I think, were assigned to us, and we read through them as a class. So that also kind of hampered my like thought process because it was diced up and it was for a class specifically.
It wasn't just reading and enjoying the magic.
Right.
Yeah.
The third one, though, is where I kind of got to I was like, no, I like this. Now I'm going to go out
Well, that was
and read the
also the
third
best book, so, you know.
for many reasons. Anna thinks that's the best book. We'll get there. But, or if you've joined some of our spoilers discussions, you probably know why. Anyway, so this first chapter, as with many first chapters in a Harry Potter book, kind of deals with Harry back at the Dursleys.
Yeah.
And at the end of book 1, he was excited for that prospect. They're like,
Harry's such a little... Yeah.
Yeah, he was ready to pull some pranks on Dudley and kind of use his newfound education to his advantage. So he was looking forward to it. And then we fast forward, I guess, into the middle or late summer, and it's not that great of a summer. Yeah, no. I mean, the title of this chapter is The Worst Birthday, which is a very depressing way to get the book started.
And it says so much, too, because, like, you and I talked a lot about Harry's childhood just being child abuse.
Yes.
But this is still his worst birthday? Like, that's so sad.
Vernon specifically, I feel like, puts him through the ringer the most.
Yeah. Especially in this chapter.
Yeah. I mean, Petunia's more of like neglect type of abuse.
Yeah.
Vernon's more aggressive.
Yeah.
And Dudley kind of flits between. He never really, like... We haven't seen him really inflict a lot of damage at this point.
Yeah, but we've been told about it.
Yeah, that's true. But, well, I think at some point, doesn't Dudley, like, come out of nowhere and say, like, I know what
today is?
Yeah. Which, at that point, I'm like... And I know he's using it as a... no one's really got you anything kind of, like, mean thing.
Right, but it's still... I mean, he's a 12-year-old boy who still remembered Harry's birthday. Like, I feel like that says something.
That's what I thought too.
Kind of in my notes to maybe mention in the spoiler section, because I feel like it does say something about Dudley and maybe Dudley's eventual growth.
I thought that same thing. I was like, I know he's setting up to be mean, but also though, like, and maybe that's where we're at with the Dursleys, is that even a low-level insult is still like, well, that was kind of nice, right?
Or does it say more about us that we're so desperately searching for, like, a little crumpet of goodness in these really terrible people?
It's fair, yeah. Harry still gets his moments, though, even unintentionally, as I think they want to make him get up and get Dudley, like, more food or something like that, like more bacon.
Yeah, more bacon.
And he says, well, you got to use the magic word, and everybody goes bananas. Like, everybody goes crazy for this. Yes. Everybody goes crazy. Yes. And I'm like, I meant please. Like, that's all I meant.
My favorite part about them going bonkers is, so JK does this kind of a lot in her writing, and it's one of my favorite things about her writing, is she is not afraid to use all capitalization for, like, something that's really supposed to be, you know, coming on strong. And Vernon's statement of, I will not tolerate mention of your abnormality under this roof. Just because Harry's looking for the word please. Like, you're abnormal. Like, I don't know why.
Using the word please is therefore abnormal in this household. Like, there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, yeah.
So clearly Harry has been using this ploy like he set up at the end of the last book of saying a bunch of meaningless random
Hocus
words.
Pocus. That's my favorite.
Hocus pocus, or whatever random words he could think of that don't even honestly sound magic-y, but they still, whatever.
To the Dursleys they do.
Just the threat is phenomenal. However, now I put this in there, one of the worst things Vernon has done, I think. He locked up, he put an actual padlock on Hedwig and caged a snowy owl. That ain't right.
It is.
That ain't right.
I feel like I mean, it is a terrible thing, and it kind of makes me wonder if, like the Wizarding World has a version of PETA. But also, I mean, all right, so in your notes for the show, you didn't just say one of the worst things. You said,
I said
like,
the worst thing.
The worst thing.
The worst thing.
It's a terrible thing. I don't want to come as strongly at you as I wanted to after reading your notes by you saying it's one of the worst things. Because, again, rampant child
abuse and child endangerment.
Yeah.
Yes. Understanding. I understand that. It's just when I read this specifically, I was like, Vernon, gosh, like, come on now.
No, it's true. Especially Hedwig, like Harry's first friend.
Also, just, you make fun of me all the time for doing this because I'm a Ravenclaw, so I think more logically.
All right, bring it on.
It's like, isn't that counterintuitive, locking up an owl, that it's now nothing but in your house, and it's going to squawk, and it's going to make noise, and it's going to be upset for being there? Let it out.
But I don't think Vernon's reason for locking it up is his annoyance with the owl. I think it's his fear of people seeing the owl and being like, well, why did the Dursleys have a snowy owl coming in and out of their house?
Not even that. It's just the messages that he can get to and from with them. Because obviously he's familiar with owls bringing messages. He's got a little PTSD with owls bringing in notes.
No post on Sundays.
So, and we've had a debate, a low-level debate, fun back and forth, let's say, about how the Dursleys remembered to bring Harry a Christmas present last year. Oh. And in my head, I just have an owl just repeatedly knocking on the window or the door until they give something. Which is fun for me to imagine. But, so yes, clear PTSD with owls. I do not like them. But still, I'm like, you can't cage Hedwig. Come on. That's cruel and unusual punishment. But... no, I reacted very poorly reading that this time.
Well,
like,
come on. It's even more cruel and unusual punishment for Harry, which Vernon probably doesn't know this, but Harry doesn't even have a way of communicating and finding out why Ron and Hermione aren't communicating with him. I'm like, that's so sad.
So Harry's got to put up with a very angry Hedwig.
Well, yeah,
now too.
Touche.
It's a tough way. I get Hedwig's had a full year to kind of do whatever she wants. Yes. But they're still in their relative early stages of building a relationship. And now she's stuck in a cage for a whole summer. I can't imagine she's happy with Harry either.
That's true.
So there's that. If you came here for your Harry Hedwig kind of character relationships, there you go. There's your insight. They're not doing well this summer. But as we get kind of a look at the Dursley family dynamic a little bit.
Yeah.
In this chapter, as they're planning their big get together that night. And Vernon assigns different roles to everybody.
They've clearly already set up this game plan. Mm-hmm. And now it's just okay, let's review one more time. How long have they been reviewing? I'd love to know. I
love how, they set up Petunia, and Petunia's very happy about her role, and Dudley's very enthusiastic about his role, shockingly. But I love how they've even included Harry on the plan making by Harry, what's your role in this? And then he's just I can feel Harry just respond with go up to my room and not make a sound, pretend like I don't exist kind of thing. I'm like, oh man.
For him to have to act that way on his birthday, again, it's so, I hate the Dursleys. They're so cruel in throwaway ways that they don't even realize they're being cruel.
Yeah. There was, as I'm reading through this, Dudley comes up with the line, what was it? Vernon was thinking of something to compliment them on or make them feel good.
Spitball ideas for how to get some compliments in at dinner.
And Dudley's suggestion is, I'm writing a paper at school about who my hero is, and I chose you, Mr. Mason. And Harry dives under the table to laugh. And I'm just thinking, who reading this does not have that same reaction after
Yeah.
reading what Dudley just came up with?
If I were Harry,
absurd.
I don't think I would have been able to keep it inside. Like, my laugh would have just come out. Just...
If you were the Masons, would you just completely think that's 100% just absurdity?
Oh, absolutely. If I were the Masons, I would be sitting there thinking...
Really? I've
right,
never met you, kid.
This
Like,
family is just clearly trying to kiss our butts. Like,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous.
yep. So that whole line of thinking just made me laugh because Petunia's like breaking out into tears, like, "Oh, I can't believe my whatever son. I don't even want to utter the Dudleykins thing from before or whatever."
Did you Duddy come?
Yeah, that.
You're welcome.
But I just can't get that family. I just can't. It's ridiculous. But yeah, anyway, they also end on a massive cliffhanger.
They do.
Which, for an early chapter, I can't really recall an early chapter that ends with such a cliffhanger of like...
I mean, obviously, Sorcerer's Stone didn't.
Right. It just ends on such a, wow, I need to flip this page right now to see who is sitting on Harry's bed or whatever, however they specifically ended it. And I'm like, wow, that's a catcher of and honestly, to a relatively mild chapter. It's essentially a summary chapter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of exposition of just like, here's what Harry went through last year, and here's all of the craziness, and then we're catching you up and now.
Remember how the magical world works?
Yeah.
Okay. Enter plots.
Right. It's like, and now we're kicking off now. So, yeah, so to a relatively, like, I don't want to say chapter. It was a good chapter, but
Yeah.
like just a mild, nothing really happening chapter, and then you just drop that in. I think it's a testament to JK of like, I know I'm putting a lot of catch up in here. Let's now get it going. But I don't know. What do you think of the...
Well, all I could really think of was like, it is a catch-up chapter. It is a very summary chapter. And all I could think was the fact that it's a summary catch-up chapter is probably the only reason I was able to read this book first. And I think I talked about this in one of the first episodes.
Oh, you
had
did.
Me on.
That's right. I forgot about that.
The first two books out of order. This is the book I read first, which I probably would not have been able to do if JK didn't give me a quick catch up on Sorcerer's Stone. But
she
so
wrote
I guess
this book
I
for
just
you,
like
she wrote it for you.
Obviously. But yeah, I think I just read that chapter and feel a sense of gratitude, even nowadays.
Gratitude? Not a feeling I had while reading this chapter, but there you go. To each their own. It's all good. That's why I have guests on to give alternate points of view. Anyway, that's pretty much the chapter in a nutshell. We will go into some spoilers and some other things here in a second, so enjoy this wonderful break that we have for you. And we'll be right back.
Amazing! This is just like magic!
All right, so we are back from break. We really hope you enjoyed that new break that we have. As we're sitting here, Anna has not yet heard said break sound.
I swear he's just trying to tease me. I'm like really anxious to hear it.
Yeah, I think she's really gonna like it. Hopefully, you guys liked it too. Let us know if you did or you didn't, whatever. I'm really just wanting it at least on this one episode, just so Anna can hear it. But anyway, we'll get back into the spoilers. And so we talked a lot about the Dursleys and their treatment of Harry. We've talked about it a lot on this podcast. And I just wonder their extreme aversion to magic. Like their hatred of magic. And I get it. Petunia's got a history of it. She knows it because of her sister, obviously. So she's got her biases towards magic. You could argue she's jealous of Lily. She just
definitely
hates whatever.
Lots of insecurities.
Here's my thing, though. And Vernon, I don't know. Like, I get that this family has been literally painted as the most normal, the most boring, the most
They're held up specifically to be that, the epitome of the norm.
Right. And obviously, magic is very much not that. Get it. That's fine. That's cool. But what I'm saying is, for Petunia specifically, and I get to each their own. People have different reactions to different things, and people have emotions, and I get it. But if it were me, and I had a sibling that was magical, wouldn't that also be kind of cool? Like, yeah, I get it. As a kid, I would also have, like, my jealousies. I get that. But also, it'd be kind of cool. Like, wouldn't it?
I mean, I think that's a testament to you. I would also find it very cool to have a sibling who could do magic. I would want them to do magic for me all the time. Yeah. But I just don't think that's who Petunia is. As a
person.
She's a jealous person. Then she met Vernon, who just,
Do you think she met Vernon specifically because she wanted something uber normal?
Yeah, absolutely.
She wanted to go the furthest away.
Instead of I feel like relationships are supposed to grow and bring out the best in you, and Vernon would specifically grow and bring out her jealousies and her, wanting to be normal and opposite of Lily because Lily was everything she couldn't be.
How much do you think Petunia's told Vernon? She's had to tell him. Especially when a kid gets dropped off at the door.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, okay. I get to use some more of my James Potter knowledge. All right, so it is specifically...
My bad, guys. I'm sorry.
Don't even. This is actually, a valid point. All right, so it's in Wizarding World canon that Lily and James were not invited to... Okay, either Lily was not invited to stand up or they just flat out weren't invited to the wedding because James and Vernon were introduced and James played a magical prank on Vernon.
That tracks.
And made him look that's
about right.
That is James Potter to a T. But so if James was already playing magical pranks on Vernon and Vernon was just mad at James and just didn't like him and just held on to the prank. But Vernon, it's clear as you read the story in Wizarding World, Vernon knew about magic already. So I think, maybe when they got engaged, maybe when she decided, I'm going to throw my cap at this normal
meet my
guy.
sister, by the way. She's a little different, which I guess that would track of how Petunia would describe them is, they're different.
Yeah.
As far as we know, though, the Evans, Lily's parents, were supportive of Lily and her endeavors. So Petunia's just kind of the odd one out, born from jealousy?
Well, maybe that made her jealousy worse, that her parents were supportive of Lily and probably really proud of Lily and her magic. And do we know of anything that Petunia did that there was to be proud of? Not to be mean, but
she could have gotten some grades. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
I know, I don't really know either. But and it's not like Petunia was ever given the chance to heal any of those childhood wounds either. I believe, I don't know that we know how they die, but I believe it's clear their parents died. Lily died before she could put any of that to rest.
I don't know that there's so many advantages to having that in your family.
But does Petunia look at it that way? I mean,
absolutely not. Obviously not.
Well, because but it's in her mind, magic never brought anything to her family but pain. I mean, through this wedge between her and her sister, she didn't like Snape, who is Lily's best friend after she finds out she's magical.
You're kind of right on that one, though, for at least for the majority of it. We can have that debate, too, but...
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely, she's right about that one. But, and then, as far as she knows, magic is what killed her sister. So, I mean, why would Petunia think magic is a good thing at that point? Where she is, as she's raising Harry. Magic saddled her with this baby boy that she needs to bring up.
It makes you wonder how many, Muggle families that have a kid born with those abilities, how many of them do kind of reject it?
That is a thought right there.
I mean, it's something we don't really ever get.
Yeah.
But
Like,
it has to
what if
happen. You know it has to happen.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Like,
For the
what
same
if
reasons.
Hermione's parents decided, you know, like,
Right.
no, we can't do this. Like, is there some wizarding world place that Hermione could have gone to live if she got kicked out of her parents' home?
And think about it. I think we have talked about this in book 1, too.
Oh, when we were talking about, like, how Muggle-borns are first, like, do somebody come and talk to their parents to explain this world to them? Or, like, how are they told?
We did talk about that. You're right. But what kind of secrets they then have to keep from their family?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, let's say Hermione's parents. Where does that line of secrecy end? Them? Grandparents?
Yeah. If she
Aunts and uncles? Where are we drawing a line of, like, who can and who can't know about this?
Well, Aunt Marge couldn't know about Harry. Like,
They also didn't want to specifically.
Yeah, they didn't want to. But I also get the impression she wasn't supposed to. Like, the Ministry of Magic erased her memory after.
She also got blown up.
Yeah, but, you know, they fixed.
I would also want my memory erased of me being blown up and flying across London.
I don't know. I think you got it done. Just float across London.
Anyway, so. No, I'm just wondering, like, there are obviously some advantages if you put a positive spin on having magic in your mostly Muggle family.
Yeah.
It could be advantageous in a lot of different ways. Maybe not financially or whatever, or maybe it can be, depending on what that person goes off and does in the magical world.
For sure.
Whatever. But around the house, things could maybe be a little bit easier.
True.
Things like that. But so it just strikes me as like, wow, the Dursleys are not just against magic. They are hardcore against magic, and even literally the magic word being uttered is a problem.
Again, plot point. Like,
sure,
we need some sort of foil to the wizarding magical world. But no, agreed. It is extreme.
I always think, like, well, and you had the point in the non-spoilers about Dudley and his happy birthday, and we're like,
I wonder how much Dudley could have been more accepting and, like, relationship brotherhood with Harry if it hadn't been for Vernon and Petunia.
Probably a lot more, because I think he would see the advantages to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, maybe a negative mindset towards it of, like, I can use this for specifically this, or this. Not just like, oh, you can make fireworks fly out, like, that's cool, you know, that's entertaining or whatever.
He'd be using
either
it
way.
in a bit of a bully way.
Sure, probably, but I think he'd be for it.
Well, I think he'd be for it, but I also think, like, it would change as Dudley grows. Like, I started kind of talking about this in the non-spoilers, but didn't want to spoil anything, obviously. Like, Dudley, so, like, okay, I made the point, he's a 12-year-old boy who remembered his cousin's birthday. I think that's unusual. So, like, I think Harry means something to him. And then, by the end of the 7th book, Dudley is leaving cups of tea outside of Harry's door. Dudley is concerned about what's going to happen to Harry and why he's not being protected, why he's going off to fight this magical world. And then, if you read, you know, what J.K. released as information post Deathly Hallows, you find out Dudley ends up having a daughter who's a witch, and that him and Harry stay in contact. And, like, I think if Dudley had been given the chance, he would have been open to, like you said, magic. And yes, it probably would have started out in a negative way, but as he grew up, I think it could have been much more positive.
I think if you just isolate, like you said, if you take Petunia and Vernon out of the equation, and it's specifically just Dudley and Harry, I think there is a natural older brother, younger brother relationship there.
Yeah.
Like, Dudley as a bigger, older brother will bully him a little bit, tease him a little bit, so on and so forth. I feel like that's more, and Harry gives it right back. Yes,
sometimes,
but it's usually never crossing a specific line where Vernon crosses the lines, and Petunia can cross lines. I don't think this is ever really, not that I can think of at least right now, crossing any specific lines where like Dudley went like way too far here.
Yeah. Sometimes I imagine him going too far with the smelting stick.
Maybe.
But again, I feel like he's a product of his environment.
I think Harry also at points brings up like Dudley's at his worst when he's A, around Vernon and Petunia, and B, when he's around his red-faced friend.
Yeah.
And once you start branching out into others in Dudley's atmosphere, then it starts to get a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about the environment that he grew up in, but
it does.
But I think you see that towards the end when Dudley's more of an adult to make his own decisions. Not an adult, but getting there.
Well, and I think the Dementor attack also had a big effect, which that we can probably say for when we get to Order of the Phoenix. But I think that had a big part to play in his growth too. I
think it's like outside of Hagrid giving him the pigtail, Harry's never really, other than picking at him a couple of times and making him feel very uncomfortable with magic. Other than that, Harry's never really done anything to overtly deserve scorn. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, you made fun of me a couple of times, you made me feel dumb, or you made me feel, scared because of whatever magic thing you might do to me, whatever, which he never really does.
No.
Ever.
Because Harry is inherently not a mean person.
Right.
I mean, even his worst enemy, Draco Malfoy, the only time he does any actual harm to Malfoy is accidental.
That was one big time, though.
Oh, no, it's a horrible
That was a big time.
That was like, okay, only time I will say thank God for Snape.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We'll get there, too. But, so I think Dudley looks back on it as like, well, wait, was Harry ever so bad? Why are we making out him to be like some evil thing? Is he that evil? I don't see it. He's never really done anything to me. I've always done something to him.
Yeah.
And he's retaliated, but that's really me starting it. So what are we talking about? And I think Dudley eventually comes to that realization, but I could talk more about all that down the road as well.
The one other thing I had in my notes for spoilers was this is like branching far away from the Dursleys. This is very Harry-centric.
Okay.
But there's one kind of almost throwaway line in her little summary portion talking about, the end of Sorcerer's Stone and his encounter with Voldemort, that he starts talking about how he's been having dreams and waking up in cold sweats.
Yes.
And just reliving his encounter with Voldemort. And it just really struck me in this moment, probably not for the first time, but it felt like for the first time, like, holy cow, Harry Potter, PTSD. Like, just a new thing that he lives through at the end of every single book that just, like, how does this poor boy, like, does anybody ever really address, yes, we always get the end of chapter summary, let's talk about what happened stuff with Dumbledore, but does anybody ever give Harry some, like, are you okay, love? Like, I don't know that they do.
Okay, there's a lot of different ways to go here. I think Harry probably needs a very long, very regimented round of therapy just for his pre-Hogwarts Dursley life.
Yeah.
Probably needs a long round just for having his parents murdered, which he vaguely remembers.
Yeah.
Just pre-Hogwarts. There's a lot there that needs some attention.
Yeah.
And we've given a lot of heat to Dumbledore in the first book. I gave a lot of heat to Dumbledore in the first book.
You did.
But that's part of it, is like, what he has been through. And I know you kind of need to maybe give him something, like, I don't even know how to phrase that. It's like, at least just ask him, like, hey, how are you doing here?
Right.
And Hagrid, I guess, fills that role the most of, like,
Yeah.
that caring, like, protective, how are you doing at Hogwarts? How was your first week?
Well,
How
and
is
eventually
this? How is
Sirius
this?
definitely, I
Oh,
think,
for sure.
does that.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I guess Hagrid does fill that role early on of
He
like,
does.
hey, how was your classes?
Yeah.
How did this go? How was your day? Whatever. I guess he kind of fills that role, which is great. So I guess
Yeah, that
Harry
just
does
made
have
me
that.
feel a little bit better. You're right.
So yeah.
I think that's just who Hagrid is.
Yeah, I think so.
They formed that bond, Hagrid and Harry.
And Harry
so.
and Hagrid had been there from the
Yeah.
literal beginning. So that relationship is natural, and I guess he kind of fills that role for the whole series. Yeah, Sirius comes in and helps as well, and Lupin and all of them in some form or fashion, and the Weasleys. My God,
I was just gonna say the Weasleys, Molly.
that goes without saying, but obviously the Weasleys play a massive part in kind of Harry's mental and emotional. I don't even want to say recovery because it just gets reset almost every year, like you're saying.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Cursed Child is officially canon, and people feel all types of ways about it. I know you haven't read it, I've
read it. I haven't seen the play. You've seen the play.
Oh, I didn't think you had even read it.
No, I haven't read it.
Well, so the only thing that I will give credit to Cursed Child for is I feel like is the first time they really Harry's mental health and like what his trauma that he lived through all his life is just tackled head on in Cursed Child. And I think bringing it back to the Weasleys, Ginny really shines in Cursed Child, that she is the one that, Harry really leans on when all of his past traumas come to the forefront. And Ron and Hermione obviously are still there, but Ginny, yay, he found a good wife.
Yeah, I think that tracks with JK's history of presenting strong female characters.
Yeah, definitely.
That can shoulder their own trauma and can shoulder the weight and all of the other things that go on. This idea that a male character or a man in general has to shoulder everything and just be like the one to carry all of the load doesn't have to be the case, which is it's a big thing.
And Harry definitely tries to be that male person.
100% he tries to shoulder everything.
Series, yeah.
I mean, there's several major plot points with that exact as the core of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My thought is, and this is, as I get older, my mom coming out in me, but what my mom always said throughout my entire, us reading these books for the first time was that she just wanted to love Harry. She just wanted to be Harry's mom and love him. And I think at the end of the day, that's probably what Harry needed the most as he went through all of his different traumas.
Yeah, I mean, just the first book alone, if we're just sticking to the first book, that's a lot of trauma to go through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he risked death alone, just in the first book alone, at least 1, 2, if you want to consider him playing Quidditch as a first year, a dangerous proposition. You could throw in Quidditch as a first year. Oh. But he probably risked death 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times maybe in the first book alone. Each one of the trials was risking death at the end. Yes. And that's 6 right there. Yeah. Plus Quirrell at the end. That would be 7. So that's 7 just in a one chapter span of the book. So it's like...
Not even talking about risking his life, just coming face to face with the murder of your parents. Okay.
There's a whole year of therapy just in one moment.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. Dumbledore just kind of glosses over, and it's just no. I get that might not have been a big thing for you, but for this kid, it's a lot. Okay. It's a lot to handle.
So I think basically what the two of us are saying is we both support therapy.
We do, yes. Yes, especially when it's needed like this. But to your point, yeah, after 7 books of this, my goodness.
Yeah.
Just the third book is a lot for a lot of different reasons. The 4th book's a lot for a lot of different reasons. 5th book's a lot.
Which is probably why by 5th book we get emo Harry. Which...
And you see bits and pieces of emo Harry
That's true,
throughout.
yeah.
Like, he's
Yeah.
already there.
And he never quite disappears.
No. Fifth, he becomes full blown.
yeah.
But yeah. It's okay. I'm waiting for someone to rock the emo Harry look at like a Comic-Con with like hair swept over.
Yes. Some eyeliner.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been a thing, but you know. When everybody feels comfortable going to Comic-Cons again, somebody should rock that. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all we got for this spoiler.
Yeah.
That's a lot. We said a lot for the first chapter.
We did.
But yeah, there is a trivia competition coming up
Ooh,
very,
so
very soon.
excited.
As you know, we're very big trivia fans on this podcast.
We actually looked to see if we could still make it onto the show before we realized it was all finished recording.
We were very offended that we did not get an invite.
Oh, I'm so angry still.
Very offended. So we're still trying to figure out, we're going to try to do something. I believe it's the 28th of November.
Is the first episode.
Is the first
24
episode.
Pieces.
So we're going to try to figure out something to do podcast related for this, whether that's recording throughout the episode, pausing for certain questions if we can, something like that.
Like we should bring in our Instagram somehow.
Live streaming it on Instagram's a possibility, something. We're thinking of something, but we'll put out a poll on our Twitter with some ideas. Let us know what you think. We might put the poll on Instagram too, because we could do that now.
Oh, yeah.
So whether you're following us on Instagram or on Twitter, it's the same, at Hogwarts a Pod. We were very lucky with that. So let us know. Let us know what you think might be kind of fun to listen to or watch or whatever during the trivia competition, and I'm hyped for it. So
Oh, I'm so excited.
I wish we need a Slytherin, though, because we have like all of the houses kind of represented except for Slytherin on this podcast.
Yeah.
We need to figure that out. Check out the trivia. I still think I should have gotten the full point for Wednesday night. But anyway.
Never.
For me, you can find me on my Twitter at Daniel_Allen44. You can find Anna in the comment section of our Twitter.
Yeah.
She'll be there a lot after every episode. So thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed kind of the revamped version of this for Chamber Secrets. We're super excited going forward. We're hoping to grow it. So make sure you follow us. Make sure you join in the conversation. And catch you on the next one.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to Hogwarts, a podcast. If you like what you've heard, please click the subscribe button on your preferred podcasting app and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Hogwarts a Pod.